Support WrestleTalk!
Donate on Patreon. Near the end of 2018 in WWE, it felt like the promotion turned more people heel than it had TV segments. Some were ingeniously planned out, with complex motivations spanning years. Others were because Vince McMahon woke up one day and thought, "Survivor Series isn't very good, let's change everything!" It's also because WWE lost an unprecedented number of its top stars to injury or illness, forcing a soft reset to the character dynamics on each brand, not to mention their total and utter inability to book babyfaces. Keeping track of them all can be hard, especially when some are ambiguous at best and they're back to being R-Truth's comedy dance partner a few weeks later. But don't worry, WrestleTalk has your back. So here's a list of every heel turn on the WWE main roster in 2018, ranked in how good I think they are. No doubt there are still more to come. Cough, Shane McMahon, cough! First up, we have an honourable mention with Sasha Banks, who, despite repeatedly turning on her so-called best friend Bayley, like tossing her out the Royal Rumble and kicking her off a pod elimination chamber, she never actually turned heel. After a series of monotonous counselling sessions, the two made up to become a team and feud for the rest of the year against the Riot Squad. Stop being so good at your job, Dr. Shelby! Now on to the full villains. Dana Brooke on a March 19th episode of Raw. Because Ronda Rousey needed to practice throwing someone around before her WrestleMania 34 match, Dana Brooke turned heel after the 19th of March episode of Raw in the dark match segment after the show went off air. Brooke called Rousey a nobody and got suplexed in response. And now, this appears to have been in the out-of-continuity dimension of house shows, as Brooke went back to managing babyface act Titus Worldwide the next week, and now switches from face to heel depending on the situation. The Ascension on an April 23rd episode of Raw. The Ascension simply just started working as heels following their brand switch from SmackDown in April. No reason, no Fashion Police storyline conclusion, and now they're still heels and WWE still does absolutely nothing with them. Mickie James! Nothing specific caused Mickie James to suddenly turn villain again. She just started pairing with Alexa Bliss on Raw a year after the Wicked Witch re-debuted James back on SmackDown. They supposedly reached an understanding at Elimination Chamber, which was WWE's way of giving heel champion Bliss some backup going into her WrestleMania program with the much larger Nia Jax. And now, she's still a heel, and still doing hardly anything. Goldust on a March 5th episode of Raw. Yeah, this actually happened. Goldust randomly turned up on the March 5th episode of Raw to call out John Cena and take his WrestleMania spot, acting like a bad guy, and was beaten by Cena in under 4 minutes. And now, he's hardly appeared since because of injuries, but when he last showed up in June, he was a babyface again. Braun Strowman on the August 27th episode of Raw. Suddenly lacking any heels to go up against their new Universal Champion Roman Reigns, a situation they really should have foreseen, WWE turned Raw's most popular male babyface Strowman by aligning him with Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre to battle the Shield after SummerSlam. And now, the random turn barely lasted 2 months, as when Reigns was taken out with leukemia, WWE reverted Strowman back to his babyface persona on October 22nd by helping the Shield beat his former allies Drew and Dolph for the tag belts. Drake Maverick on the September 3rd episode of Raw. The 205 Live GM was introduced as the new manager of AOP at the start of September, looking like a kid who just won a cosplay competition, overseeing a squash match against some enhancement talent. Because WWE is WWE though, he remained a babyface on 205. And now, Drake Maverick has since led AOP to capture the Raw tag belts and then literally pissed his pants at Survivor Series. The Big Show, October 16th, SmackDown. He only had one this year, surprisingly. Big Show randomly helped The Bar defeat The New Day on SmackDown's 1000th episode by chokeslamming Kofi Kingston through the announcer's table, which was somehow surprising in a totally underwhelming way. And now, The Bar won the tag team titles in that match, but just over a month later, keeping with Big Show's stunning record of face and heel turns, he split with the group in a pre-taped TV segment in late November. Bobby Lashley on the October 8th episode of Raw. Despite declaring his brotherly love for his 3 beautiful sisters, Lashley never managed to connect as a babyface. So on October 8th, Just 6 months after returning to WWE, Bobbins brutally beat down Kevin Owens after their match and joined his manager Lio Rush, who was already a heel really, on the dark side. And now he's basically the same wrestler, only he wrestles against babyfaces rather than heels and has to sell less. He also points at his butt now. Lio Rush, June 26th on 205 Live. Lio Rush debuted on 205 Live as a heel, having worked as a flashy underdog babyface on NXT, and became a blinged-up narcissist overnight. And now, Rush is so good at being annoying, he was given the main roster role of Bobby Lashley's hype man on Raw, where he's actually really good. Hideo Itami on the May 1st edition of 205 Live. After a tag team run, Hideo Itami shoved partner Akira Tozawa after a defeat to the Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher, and confirmed his heel turn the following week with a promo. And now, he's become one of the best bad guys in WWE, and really deserves a higher profile than 205 Live allows. Buddy Murphy, April 10th, 205 Live. 205 Live's Little Mr. Bliss, Buddy Murphy, he's Alexa's real-life fiancé, attacked Cedric Alexander from behind during his post-WrestleMania Cruiserweight title win celebration ceremony. And now, he's still a heel, and the hottest act on 205 Live as its reigning Cruiserweight champion. Ironically though, his big title win happened in front of his home crowd at Super Showdown in Australia, where he was a babyface. The Bellas, October 8th Raw. Even though practically everyone booed them when they awkwardly returned to WWE, Nikki and Brie Bella were supposed to be a babyface act and Ronda Rousey's best friends. Because that's what all women's storylines were based on back then. They eventually turned on Ronda on the Raw after tagging with her at Super Showdown, which no one saw coming. And now, after some great promos in the build-up and a solid Evolution main event of Nikki versus Ronda, the Bellas disappeared from WWE TV. Nia Jax, November 5th, Raw. Nia Jax turned kayfabe heel on the November 5th episode of Raw by beating up her supposed friend Ember Moon with Tamina, which was pretty lame, but then managed to get nuclear heat by becoming a real-life villain after concussing Becky Lynch in the Survivor Series Go-Home Brawl. And now, Nia's unsafe working style might have inadvertently helped her career. Rather than being punished for ruining the Survivor Series card, Jax was rewarded by winning the Women's Survivor Series match and then entered a feud with Ronda Rousey for TLC. Sanity, June 19th, SmackDown. Sanity made their main roster debuts as heels without explanation, having been babyfaces in NXT after a run of video promos in June. They attacked the Usos prior to a scheduled match with them, establishing them as villains, instilling an optimistic hope as a new top act on SmackDown. And now, although a fun debut, they wrestle so infrequently it's difficult to care about them. Nikki Cross debuted to a babyface pop for one night only in November, and they fought for Team SmackDown at Survivor Series, completely really going back on their gimmick. Becky Lynch, August 19th, SummerSlam. Frustrated with best friend Charlotte Flair stealing her SummerSlam spotlight, Lynch snapped and attacked the new champion. The story WWE intended to tell was entirely different to the one that played out though. Lynch was loudly cheered, with fans emotionally connecting with her side of the argument, even though SmackDown continued to frame her as the bad guy. And now, WWE officially gave up on Becky being a heel on November 13th, when she hugged Charlotte on SmackDown, letting her properly be the biggest babyface in the company. Randy Orton, July 15th, Extreme Rules. After his morally confusing is he a heel, is he a babyface run with the Wyatt family in 2016-17, Orton properly and fully turned to the dark side for the first time in years by punting Jeff Hardy in the dick following his US title loss to Shinsuke Nakamura at Extreme Rules. And now, he's taken on the role of SmackDown's resident masochist, where he most notably fingered Hardy's pierced ear. Aiden English, September 18th, SmackDown. English heartbreakingly attacked his buddy Rusev after the Bulgarian Brute lost to Shinsuke Nakamura, killing Rusev Day. He tried to blame it all on Lana trying to have an affair with him in a cracking soap opera storyline, but it was all revealed to be a ruse. And now, Aiden was squashed by Rusev after a brief feud and hasn't been seen since. Charlotte Flair, November 18th, Survivor Series. Frustrated in her match against Ronda Rousey, Charlotte snapped and beat the heckins out of her with a kendo stick and chair. She even Pillmanized her neck in one of Survivor Series 2018's most memorable moments. And now, she's a babyface again, I think. Just 2 days after, SmackDown celebrated Charlotte like a hometown hero, hinting WWE are trying to make Charlotte a badass tweener, just like how they accidentally did with Becky. Drew McIntyre, April 16th's Raw. After an injury in NXT, Drew McIntyre returned on the main roster the week after WrestleMania, alongside Dolph Ziggler as the Diesel to his Shawn Michaels, where they laid out Titus Worldwide to become one of the most exciting acts on Monday nights. And now, McIntyre has since ditched Dolph Ziggler, dominated Kurt Angle, and become Raw's biggest heel who actually shows up. There are reportedly big plans for him as a top star in Monday nights in 2019. Daniel Bryan, November 13th episode of SmackDown. Just days away from AJ Styles' champion versus champion match against Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series, Bryan shockingly won the WWE title off him with a low blow, saving that Sunday's pay-per-view with a great new twist. And now, Bryan has since become WWE's best heel, turning on the fickle fans for killing the environment, mixing his real-life beliefs with his bad guy act in a similar way to CM Punk's brilliant straight-edge society gimmick. Shinsuke Nakamura, April 8th, WrestleMania 34. Shinsuke Nakamura hit AJ Styles with a low blow following his defeat to the WWE Champion in a fantastic WrestleMania moment. Nakamura never fully got over as a main roster babyface, largely because WWE kept booking him to lose to Jinder Mahal in 2017. And now, he ball-kicked his way to the United States Championship, but sadly WWE haven't really done anything with him since. Dean Ambrose, October 22nd's episode of Raw. In my personally favourite heel turn of the year, WWE used the emotion around Roman Reigns revealing he'd been diagnosed with leukemia to fuel Ambrose turning on Seth Rollins that same night. He attacks Seth just after they'd beaten Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre for the tag team titles in the main event. And now, after a few weeks, Ambrose has morphed that complex heel character into someone afraid of germs. Not what I would have done, but they can't take away the raw feeling of that initial moment. How about all the wrestlers released by WWE in 2018? Click the video on screen to relive them all now. I've been Oli Davis, and that was wrestling.